Welcome to another edition of Dogger Pass Podcast. This for UFC Vegas 94. Paul Shaughnessy here. Newfie Jared is on the sticks. Cody Saftik is on the line. Cody, we've had a pretty good run like the last 2 months. I got absolutely cooked last card. Not going to lie. It was a bad one. It was like one of the worst ones in a while. I knew it was going to come crashing down. Like even some of the cards that I had hadn't done that well. It's like it would be like a really, really small profit or a very, very small loss. That was just a straight up loser. You could just feel it in the air. You could smell, the apple pies were getting absolutely dumped on start to finish. That's the name of the game. It was a lot of weird underdogs, guys that I didn't have too much faith in coming through. I guess crazy things in general just happen at altitude.
Yeah, crazy things always happen at altitude, but between Charles Johnson getting that third round comeback win and Julian Erosa with the first round guillotine choke, the guys that I really liked did not perform, and just crazy wild things happened. Not a good week. I guess, like you said, it's been a good summer to this point, but now we're reaching the stage where they're just throwing on whatever. We've had banger pay-per-views all summer, hot fights, exciting fights. But you and I discussed it when we did the preview show for UFC 300. Like, they were using all their star power on one singular card. Then you look at UFC 303, it's the same thing. Guys that would be headlining or co-main eventing these fight nights, they're not. They've all been used up. So now they're just throwing like run-of-the-mill contracts are coming up for expiration. Guys that are on 2-3 fight losing streaks. Guys that haven't fought in a few years. And with Contender Series coming up, it's like a lot of these guys their jobs are on the line. So they just make a makeshift fight night and they throw it out. I don't know what you call this event or like what's the number of this event. What is the number of this event, Paul?
I mean, it's technically UFC Vegas 94, but I like to call these Apex Fighting 94 because sometimes it doesn't even really feel like it's the UFC, right? Like it's just kind of like they're in a warehouse that is owned by the UFC, but they also run like Road to the UFC. Contender Series is coming, which I mean we were talking about just before we got on here. It's like you look up and down this card and you're like, a lot of people probably need a win to keep their job moving forward because Dana's handing out like 30 contracts starting in August.
Yeah, so you call it UFC Apex 94.
Apex Fighting UFC 94.
Yeah, I call it UFC 800 Gambler because you got a problem if you're getting way too invested in this one. It is greasy. But that being said, yeah, we're still going to watch it. There is tons of other good MMA action. Whatever, bare knuckle boxing, like there's a ton of combat sports on this weekend, so maybe pick and choose here and there. But this is a UFC preview show, so let's break down these fights to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, we got main event action. Virna Jandiroba taking on Amanda Lemos. Virna minus 130 favorite. Lemos can be had for plus 110. One eye for Virna is on the prize, Cody. The other one's looking at Rick. I'm kind of tempted by Amanda Lemos in this spot. I know, Virna's probably got a grappling event. She's able to secure takedowns. And in the Apex, maybe that kind of lends to her capabilities. If there's any sort of, anybody who's going to finish anybody on the feet, it's going to be Amanda Lemos. I know, Zhang Weili took her down 6 times, controlled her. Absolutely dummied her from pillar to post, but credit where credit's due. She didn't quit. She survived. She went the full 25 minutes. That was something that we had kind of talked about with her ever since the Leslie Smith fight, which was 2017. Weird weight class, short notice, yada, yada, yada. We'd always kind of questioned Lemos's cardio and, her ability to stay in the fight. I feel like she kind of answered that at least, being able to go the full distance against the champion. And then, mixed in 2 takedowns of her own last time against Durden, stayed out of trouble. I don't know. I feel like if she's able to hang out on the mat against Mackenzie Dern, she should be able to get out of submission attempts from Virna. And on the feet, I don't think it's very competitive whatsoever. So, close to a pick'em fight, but give me Amanda Lemos at plus 110. What about you?
Yeah, this one's greasy all around. It's a women's MMA fight. It's a 5-round fight. It's basically striker versus grappler, and neither of them are, they're both pretty durable as far as I'm concerned. So it's likely going to decision. And then you're going to need to rely on whoever the 3 in-house Las Vegas judges are to get said decision right. So it's probably just dog or pass CF dot model. Like, you're probably just trying to get plus money on this thing if you can. On a personal level, I kind of like some of these overs and some of the totals. I think it will bank some rounds. Virna in her UFC career never been finished. She's been in there with high caliber talent. Flip side to that, Amanda Lemos. Amanda Lemos went 5 rounds with the current champion. And like you said, went 3 rounds against Mackenzie Durden last time out, including a really bad 3rd round, but survived. So got to think that this thing's hitting some overs on the total. If you're a smart man, I think you hit this thing in live play, and I think you're trending towards Virna Jandiroba. I don't disagree with any of your points. I think Amanda Lemos is a much better striker. I think she does win those early rounds. And if the judges are looking for damage, almost certainly she's going to have more damage. That's one knock on Virna Jandiroba. She can get takedowns, but her fight with Angela Hill, she won a decision. She got outstruck 21-14, but she had the 3 takedowns, 14 significant strikes in 3 rounds. Ugh. Her fight with Marina Rodriguez, she wins a decision. She got outstruck 33-27. That's another ugh. And her last time out against Lupita Godinez, outstruck 38-30. Now she scores multiple takedowns, gets tons of top control, and that's how she wins these fights. But she got outlanded on all 3 of them, right? So again, if you're looking at bad judging and what is bad judging, you can get takedowns in control time, but you're not landing anything. You may be losing those rounds. That's a little bit of an issue there, right? When I'm looking at Lemos, I agree, better striker, more damage, but she's giving up these takedowns. And beyond that, I think she gets way tired. You go back and you look at her fight against Angela Hill, right? She completely gasses in this fight. Hot start, drops Hill, hurts Hill. The longer it goes, she tires out. Her fight with Zhang Weili, yeah, again, she gets dominated to the tune of 163-24 was the significant strikes total. She landed 24 significant strikes over 5 rounds. So yes, kudos. She fought the champion. Kudos. She went the distance with the champion. But let's get it straight. She got dominated. Saldi Amato scored that fight 50-43. Other judge had it 50-44. Other judge had it, I think, 49-45, which was a weird ass score. Doesn't matter. It was an absolute blowout of epic proportions. So she's durable, but again, she's largely outclassed on the ground. And then the fight right after that is Mackenzie Dern, right? So for the first 2 rounds, she's looking good. She's outstriking her. She's doing the damage. She scores a clean knockdown. In the 3rd round, she gets taken down. She gets beat the 3rd round against Dern. That's by far her worst round. She wins at 29-28, but I think 2 of the guys from Sherdog and one of the guys from like Combat Press had scored the fight a draw, thinking that the 3rd round was so dominant that it could have been a 10-8. If you go to the fan voting for that fight, the 1st round, they got it 50-50, the fans. The 2nd round, they got it 54-46. The 3rd round's 91% Dern. That's the clear round. The 3rd round. The Angela Hill fight, she gasses, has to settle for going 3 rounds. She got power. She got pop. She can knock you out. But she doesn't knock you out. She tires. And again, she got taken down by Mackenzie Dern, problematic. 6 times against Zhang Weili. I'll give her a pass there. Michelle Waterson, largely undersized, took her down. Angela Hill took her down. So when you look at Virna, Virna's got, like, she's freakishly strong, man. You can make the eye joke. It doesn't matter because, like, what her disability is in one area of life, she makes up in other areas of life, and she's freakishly strong, man. When she puts her paws on you, she'll drag you to the mat. This is a girl that in her debut took down Carla Esparza 3 times. Mallory Martin, college wrestler, took her down 3 times. Felice Herrig, Jack to the max, took her down. Mackenzie Dern took her down and hung with her and dominated her, but lost the fight. But no, yeah, no. But what I'm saying is, like, didn't get outclassed in the grappling exchanges there. Kanako Murata, that's the only girl she hasn't taken down, but Murata is like a multiple-time Japanese wrestling champion, so I'm going to give her a pass there. And then everybody else she's taken down: Amanda Hebus, Angela Hill 3 times, Marina Rodriguez 3 times, Lupi Godinez twice. So again, this is somebody that scores on largely multiple takedowns every fight. She's very durable and has never been finished inside the UFC. She's a high-level BJJ black belt in all the areas that Lemos struggles, which is cardio, opponents that are durable, drag her into deep waters, opponents that can take her down. Yeah, it's all there. So because it's a 5-round fight, if you're in live wagering, I think Lemos probably wins the 1st round, maybe 2 rounds. As soon as she starts to tire, she gives up these takedowns. She starts to concede top position. Then I think Virna ekes her way back into it. But even in that scenario, okay, because my pick's Virna, but even in that scenario, this thing still goes 5 rounds. Virna gets 4 or 5 takedowns, and 8 minutes of top control, 9 minutes of top control, 12 minutes of top control, the judges still might just go with who landed more shots, which is almost certainly going to be Lemos. So this is your classic greasy main event going to decision, going to be a weird decision. Don't be heavily invested in this thing. But whereas you're going Lemos, and I don't disagree with the pick, I'm going to chase the other side and go Virna.
Well, it sounds like you do disagree with the pick because you picked the opposite person.
Yeah.
But like, we aren't making any shoey bets on this. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to bet the main event, to be perfectly honest. And Virna live does make a lot of sense to me because I think Amanda Lemos's cardio has made some significant improvements. But yeah, like, she was controlled for 16 minutes against Zhang Wei Li, like pretty much off of her back.
Standing arm triangle, dude, against Jessica Andrade. So like the submission's kind of on the table low key as the, maybe a KO for Lemos late. I don't see it necessarily, but I guess that would be a possibility. But the submission be a possibility for Virna as well. But I do in my heart feel they're banking 3, 4, 5 rounds and it's likely going to decision.
All fair points. All fair points. So let's move on to the co-main event. We got Jun-Young Park taking on Brad Tavares. Jun-Young Park is -160 favorite. Brad Tavares can be had for +140. Brad Tavares, obviously, we've broken him down for, it feels like an eternity. First
Over
UFC fight was 2010. It was before. Yeah, it was, all of his fights have been on the Dogger Pass podcast. When did we start this? Like 2014, 2013?
2014. Yeah, April 2014.
I know it was the Roy Nelson fight. Right?
Yeah, Nogueira, Roy Nelson in Abu Dhabi. Benil Dariush got smoked out of there. That was like our first underdog pick because we had Ramsey Nijum. Yeah, dude, long time. So he's been around 4 years longer than the show. He knocked out Phil Baroni in the UFC. Goes to tell you how long he's been around.
And the biggest thing that we used to talk about with him is that insanely durable. Went the distance against Adesanya. He went the distance with Jerkis not even that long ago, 2 years ago. Feel like things are starting to turn a corner in that. And this happens to everybody over the course of their MMA careers. Like the punches that you're able to take early on, later on in life, the damage has kind of been done, and you start to see a little bit of frailty to them. Bruno Silva with a knockout over him. Gregory Rodriguez last time out with a nasty knockout in round 3. Even the Chris Weidman fight where it's like everyone kind of going into that thinking like, the goats of the ghost of Chris Weidman. He won and he doubled him up on strikes, but like it kind of felt like it was just like two over the hill fighters that were in there. There was really no killer instinct. He didn't really put his stamp on that fight whatsoever. You got to win. A win's a win. But yeah, it's not the same guy anymore, and I worry about his durability. Luckily for him, Jun-Young Park, not exactly some sort of power puncher by any stretch of the imagination. He's been showing off, significant flashes of a submission game these days. Can Brad stuff the takedowns is the real question. Gregory Rodriguez was able to get 2. Omari Akhmedov was able to get 2. Otherwise, historically, people kind of struggled to take him down, but I don't know. These days, it's really, really tricky. I'm leaning towards the Iron Turtle strictly on like durability. I know that he can take a serious beating still, and I don't think Tavares can get him out of there. It really is going to come down to the takedowns and whether Park can get him there, which could be a little bit difficult. Otherwise, it's probably a 50-50 striking match between the two of these guys, and not going to feel good with a -160. But Park will be my pick, but not a fight that I feel, super, super excited about investing my money in this week. What about you?
Yeah, it's going to be a very close fight. So I agree with you in that sense. It's like, I don't want to invest a whole lot of money here, but I think I'm going to go with Park, not by way of wrestling. I think he does strike with him. It probably is largely competitive. Likely goes 15 minutes, although I'm interested in the Park by knockout, to be honest. Can you check out that prop number? If they give you something real juicy on that, I got a theory there. But yeah, everything Paul's saying is true. Brad Tavares is a warrior of the game. He's been under contract with the UFC for 14 years. He's fought for the promotion 24 times. This will be his 25th kick at the can. Guy's gone the distance with Dricus Duplessis, the current champ. He went the distance with Israel Adesanya, the former champ. he's been in there. But yeah, and he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. He's been knocked out by Edmund Shabazian. He got knocked out in his most recent affair, and as Paul mentioned, the Bruno Silva fight as well. So writing's most definitely on the wall for Brad Tavares. Nearly 38. It's a lot of tenure. It's a lot of fights. But yeah, he's serviceable. He's a guy that can largely go out there and just use kind of like a point style of striking. And that's my issue with him, is that he has no submission victories. He has very little knockout victories. It's more so just a point style, touch and go striking style. He's super low volume. Now imagine you've got 24 fights to look through. And of those 24 fights, only one time did he ever score over 100 significant strikes, against Ricky Fukuda back in 2013. It's 11 years ago. Since then, the closest he's ever gotten to 100 significant strikes landed would have been 84 against Amari Akhmedov, a fight that he largely got tired in. When he's in there, he's very low volume. And the issue with being low volume is you need big power if you're not going to throw a ton of strikes. Being that he is a point style guy, he needs to strike twice as many shots. He needs to start outworking his opponents, which is just something he doesn't really do. Now, he has that durability, like you said, so he used to be able to take the punch and return it and, go to decision at least. But now he's largely just getting into these striking affairs, and if he can't take that return fire, he's in trouble. Go back to the Chris Weidman fight just 2 fights ago. Weidman has a broken leg and is a ghost of the former Chris Weidman that everybody knows and loves. And he still just goes through the rhythm, lands 70 significant strikes, wins a decision. Like, take him out. Put the foot on the gas. But it's just not what Brad does. Now, he trains in Vegas. He's always been in Vegas. He's a world-class guy. I still think he's got a couple good fights left in him. But against Jun Park, I honestly think Jun Park doesn't need the takedown. And the reason I say that is he's not a knockout guy. Not a knockout guy on paper, right? Hasn't knocked out a guy since 2018. No knockout victories in the UFC, despite having 7 wins. They're all submissions and decisions. He's not knocked anybody out. That's fair. But you go back 2 fights against Albert Duraev. He drops Albert Duraev, knocks him down. That's what allows him to get on top and rear naked choke him. So the power's there. You go back to his fight with Gregory Rodriguez, where he ends up getting knocked out. But it's the only time he gets knocked out. But Paul, you remember that fight. He's got Rodriguez out of there. God damn, RoboCop's about to fold to the canvas and then just counters him with a 2-piece and folds him over. So wild fight. But again, I mean, he was seriously hurting Rodriguez in that spot. And then his last fight against Andre Muniz. Sorry, not even that one. Yeah, I guess his last fight with Muniz. He just gets taken down the entire time. 11 takedowns by Muniz. Now, he survives this high-level BJJ black belt's bad spots. He keeps getting back up. He just got no answer for the takedown. Before that, Duraev, the whole first round, just wanted to cling on to him. Took him down, right? Wants to wrestle him. His fight with Eric Anders, he gives up 3 takedowns and nearly 5 minutes of control time. And he still lands 105 significant strikes on Anders, despite being clung on to the whole time. To me, the guy's just begging for open space. Now, yeah, he likes to rear naked choke guys like Dennis Tulin, because why would you stand with Dennis Tulin when you can just take him down and rear naked choke his ass real easily? You know the guy's just going to throw hams at you. Why even bother? So that one's a smart game plan. But in a fight like Brad Tavares, yeah, his takedown defense is actually pretty decent. And don't tire yourself out constantly shooting these takedowns if they're not there. What you got to go out there and do is just outwork him and out volume. He's got a really good jab. He's got decent footwork. I think he's got a slight speed advantage over Tavares. If the threat of Tavares not knocking him out is off the table, because again, Tavares is short of knockout wins lately, and they call the other guy the Iron Turtle for a reason. And flip side to that, I think he's got that power advantage, speed advantage, output advantage, youth advantage. And if the fight does hit the ground, sure, maybe he does grab up another submission victory. But the main thing is that he needs a plan B if grappling's not going to work out for him. And I think that's just go out there with the volume. So I'm not huge on just saying stats. But by stat standard, Brad Tavares in his UFC career averages 3.38 strikes landed per minute. Whereas Jun Park is rocking a 4.53. And again, that in itself doesn't sound like it means a lot, but just watch the fights. Park's fights generally end inside the distance. So you're not seeing 100. You're not seeing that. But the Anders fight, again, he's pinned up against the cage the whole time and he's throwing. He's got good cardio, good durability, good pace, good power, good submission game. And the reason I asked you to look up that knockout prop was no other reason than you got a Brad Tavares that's been knocked out 3 times in his last 5 fights, twice of them inside the very first round, coming off a knockout loss that was a bad one to take, versus a Park that shows no knockout wins, but again has the knockdown over Duraev, has nearly got Gregory Rodriguez out of there, is the younger man that's still improving and getting better. So it would be, if they'll give you the right price on it, it'd be worth a look.
Top of market that I see is plus 470. That's at FanDuel.
Yeah, that's not good.
Don't love that for the knockout. By sub, plus 900 bet online is the best I see right now. I'd probably in that rate, probably just take the plus 230 inside the distance. And if he gets a finish, he gets the finish.
Fair enough.
Because, yeah, I mean, 3 submission wins in his last 4 fights. It's like, clearly the Iron Turtle has a rear naked choke that he loves and has found some success using it, when he is getting top position. But, yeah, your whole little thing about the stats there, it's like, it doesn't sound like much, but a lot of these fights, when they're relatively close, it's like, well, you're beating the other guy by 1 significant strike. That's 5 significant strikes over the course of 1 round. That's edging out rounds. It's like the margin of error, the margin of differentiation there. It's probably how, if he's not able to get takedowns, he's not able to control, which has always been historically hard with Brad Tavares, winning by getting 100 significant strikes and like Tavares ending up with like 75 at the end of 3 rounds is another viable way for Jun Young Park. So we're on the same page there. We move on. We've got Steve. He's in Las Vegas. He's taking on Seung Choi. Steve, no longer in Singapore. Now they bring him stateside. What happens when he's not in Singapore, Cody? He wins. There is some action coming in on Seung Choi. I don't quite understand it.
It's a greasy fight.
Steve's been on
a greasy fight, Paul.
Steve's been on a bit of a run recently. People may think of me maybe that I'm like a Steve hater, but that really couldn't be further from the truth. I like what he's been putting together recently. Ground and pound, Mel Costa, round 2. Durden Becke, not an easy guy really to finish. Finished him in the second round. Chase Hooper put him in a body bag, and we see all the improvements Chase Hooper's been making recently. Other than my guy Mahashat, who frankly since that fight has went, that fight kind of looks like a bit of an anomaly. Steve's got some momentum here, and I don't really see like much to like from Seung Choi. Maybe you can talk some sense into me, but I think it's Steve all day here. What about you?
Yeah, I'm thinking Steve as well. So, everybody's born with a gift. Might have the gift of art or music, or it could be something really small like stats or data, or you're into something. Whatever. Steve has got God-given power. Now, he doesn't look like much. When he gets on the scale, he's not some giant man. If you ran into him at the grocery store, you probably wouldn't even know that he's a pro fighter. But when the guy puts his hands on you, that's it. He knocks people out. And this is basically the large majority of his career. His win condition is knockout. And when you see him in the UFC, either he getting wobbled or you getting wobbled. Somebody's going down. Now, he's super entertaining. We all love him. But yeah, it's just freakish power. Now, just look at those last 3 fights, right? His fight with Milk Costa, as you mentioned, he gets that second round TKO victory, drops Milk Costa, big shot, right? His fight with Shailin Nurmbayake, scores a knockdown over him. His fight with Chase Hooper, 3 knockdowns. Now, Chase Hooper's got a cast iron chin. If you watch all of Chase Hooper's fights, he eats massive blows pretty much every time. And the kid can take it. That's why I like Chase Hooper. I back him in a lot of spots. He's got very, very solid, proven durability. Every single punch that Steve hit him flush with caused the kid to just legs melt under him, hit the canvas, look up in the air, and then eventually they just mercy killed it. He wasn't out, but it was just like, oh my God, 3 knockdowns. They're eventually just, yeah, this is enough. Steve walks off. So not only does he have this nice little 3-fight winning streak, he scored a collective 5 knockdowns within those fights. And his fight with Charlie Ontiveros, people remember because he got beat up pretty bad in the first round and then knocks him out in the second. So Steve hits you, it's super problematic. Now, again, stats aren't everything, but you have a Steve Garcia here who's looking to beat the crap out of you. And Seung Choi, meanwhile, he doesn't have no durability. His last fight is a unanimous decision win over Jarno Aarons. He got dropped in that fight. It was just knockdown. His fight prior, Michael Trezano knocked him out in the first after scoring 2 clean knockdowns. His fight prior to that, he lost a split decision against Josh Holobaugh, but he got knocked down twice. So in his last 3 fights, he's given up 5 knockdowns. Now, you know how this game works, Paul. Not MMA math game, but You can only just like take solid punches in the face and hit the canvas enough times before your chin's just gone. Now, Seung Choi fights recklessly. He has been knocked out, but there's other times where he just gets dropped, gets back up, and then resumes the fight. That's all well and good, but eventually, that trigger is going to be there. Your chin and your durability will get compromised. And then what? And then what? So why there's money coming in on him? Listen, it's an even money fight because they're both strikers.
It was pretty much I was wrong about that. It pretty much was lying like minus 135 plus 115. Then he went to like minus 150, and I assumed that I'm like, oh, Steve's going to continue to become a bigger favorite here, and then it didn't. That really didn't happen. Now it's back to minus 145. So it's like there's buyback happening there. So yeah, I mean there's other people betting the other side, which kind of surprised me. I just don't really see it with Choi.
It doesn't surprise me because honestly, Steve, as much as he has this crazy power, I mean, he's been dropped in a lot of those fights. The Maha Shot fight, he wins by knockout, but he himself has to come up off the canvas. His fight with Charlie Ontiveros, he got knocked down twice and eventually wins by knockout. So there's no doubt about it. He doesn't have great durability, and his chin is compromised as well. It's not a 3-fight winning streak. Great, he's beating the guy to the punch, but you got a Seung Choi's a little bit longer, a little bit quicker. If he beats him to the punch, it's not crazy to think he's going to put him away. Someone's going down. You're going to want to take absolute violence in this fight. This has probably got fight of the night, or at the very least, whoever wins it's going to get a KO bonus for 50,000. It'd be fun in that regard. But yeah, I don't hate the Choi pick because again, it's whoever beats the other guy to the punch. And when you look at Choi, he's got wins over Julian Erosa and Yusuf Zalal, right? Those aged incredibly well. Whereas they usually throw in Steve Garcia with, other than Chase Hooper, like low-level guys, he catches them. So I got it lying closer to 50-50. So if you can get plus money on Choi, I wouldn't say that's crazy in the slightest bit. But yeah, I got one guy that's on a 3-fight winning streak. He is getting those knockouts. He is winning the fights versus a Seung Choi that coming off a win over Aarons. But outside of that, that snapped 3-fight losing streak. And in that fight, he got knocked down. So again, it could have been very easily a 4-fight losing streak, and then you'd want no part of them. So I don't love this fight. Under 2.5, that's the move here. But outside of that, just enjoy this one.
I will correct you on one thing, or at least according to UFC stats, you said like Choi is a little bit longer. Not true. They're both 6 feet tall, and Steve's got a 1-inch reach advantage.
Steve's 6 feet tall? Are you sure?
According to UFC stats. According to UFC stats, he's 6 foot, and so is Seung Choi. Seung Choi has a 74-inch reach. Steve has a 75-inch reach. So
I will see when they get on the scales.
Like
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. I think I'm going to end up taking him as well. But again, here's a guy that used to fight at 135, now fights at 155. It's a banger. I'm not faulting anyone for just chasing a dog or pass type play, but I got to get the guy in the 3-fight winning streak, I guess.
Tapology's got 74.5 for Choi. I mean, Tapology is more likely to be Fugazi, right? And then Tapology has 73 on there. So I don't know. I trust the UFC stats more. UFCstats.com. Is that run by the actual UFC? I don't know. It's minor little things that we probably shouldn't even waste our time breaking down, because we got Kaynan Kruchewsky taking on Kurt Holobaugh, minus 135 for Kruchewsky, plus 115 for Kurt Holobaugh. Who you got here?
Yeah, so the other day there's a Unified 57 regional scene card. It's happening in Toronto. So I said, I might as well go out to it. And they released betting lines for it. So I was like, perfect. I'm going to go watch it, know a bunch of the guys in the card, and I can bet it. Great. So there's Julian LeBlanc. I don't rate him in the slightest bit. He's the co-main event fighting this Mark Colker, right? Mark Colker from Louisiana. He was like 9-4. Good looking record. So I do my tape research. I look into it. And like, Mark Colker, guys, god awful. Like, just god awful. Trains in Louisiana, from Alabama, fought mostly plugs, built up a good-looking record, but no good. So I check out his socials, and like, there's not much, but there is the gym. So I click on the gym, Unified, whatever, Fighters United, I think. Anyways, go to their page, and boom, it's Kurt Holobaugh's gym. And the last post is Kurt Holobaugh's wife, and it's like a room full of fat people and little kids, and it's like, hey, I'm holding down the gym while Kurt and Mark are in Canada for Mark's fight, and it dawns on me. I'm like, oh shit. Like, Kurt doesn't really go away for home for these camps. He just runs his own gym. Like, when you watch him on whatever he's doing, he's just in his own gym. Now, this is a guy that's about to turn 38 years old, and he just trains at his own gym in Louisiana with nobody. He's not going and seeking Tim Crater. He's not going to Gladiators MMA. He's not going, to try to get the best guys in the state. Yeah, this is a state that produced Daniel Cormier and produced Dustin Poirier and all around just a lot of tough individuals, but he's just running his own ship, and that's the stage of his career that he's at. So when you see him at his best, and the best that Kurt Holobaugh has ever looked, undoubtedly, was in the Ultimate Fighter house. And that doesn't surprise me because he's finally getting good training and able to train twice a day and eat healthy food that's provided to him. So yeah, he thrives in that situation. Guy's no doubt a dog. Guy's got a BJJ black belt. If he goes to the ground, he's always constantly throwing up submissions, standing, leaves something to be desired defensively, but he's a dog. He's coming forward. He's throwing down. His wrestling, again, he's physically strong, but he mostly, I don't want to call him a guard puller, but he seems like he just accepts the takedowns and then just immediately goes to his jiu-jitsu. So if he's not able to take his opponent down, then he's going to be winging some punches, but he doesn't have a ton of volume. And even though he's got 7 career knockout victories, I just don't know that I would necessarily call him a power puncher per se. All I'm getting at, though, is that he's very much at the stage of his career where no improvements will be coming his way. You do expect him to start getting more fatigued as these, later fights of his career go on. And yeah, his job is certainly on the line on the spot. You look at his opponent, Kaynan Kruchewsky, and there's really nothing great about him, but he is the former Jungle Fights champion. In those fights, he shows a 4th round guillotine victory and a 5th round TKO. So someone that's cardio has been okay in the past. He wasn't being tested by USADA at that time, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He was clean. His cardio wasn't necessarily bad. You see him in the Contender Series versus Dylan Mantello out of a grappling gym. He goes out there, gets an easy takedown, controls him, gets the finish. In his official UFC debut, he runs into Elvis Brenner. And I don't know, man. He's a 33-year-old limited fighter taking on a 26-year-old who's fresh off a knockout win over Guram Kudlatse. Is that a great fight for your debut? No. So he got stiffed 4 minutes into the fight. But again, I'm willing to look past that because Brenner's legit. So how does he match up with Kurt Holobaugh? Well, again, his wrestling's not great, but he has a knack for getting these fights into grappling positions, and Kurt tends to accept those positions. They're both BJJ black belts, so if that cancels each other out, I want the guy that's going to be getting on the back or getting on top, and I figure that's going to be Kaynan. He's 33, so he's not a prospect by any stretch, but he is 4 or 5 years younger than Kurt Holobaugh, so I'm hoping that in itself matters a little bit. And again, he's someone that on the regional scene has fought into the 4th, fought into the 5th, and gone to decision plenty of times. So if cardio is not necessarily a problem, then just win 2 of the 3 rounds and survive. Both of his career losses are by knockout. Both of those knockouts are in the 1st round. So yeah, durability could very much be a problem for him. But it comes down to Kurt. Yeah, it comes down to Kurt Holobaugh and if he's going to knock a guy out or if he's just going to try to grapple the whole time. So the pick is Kaynan, but yeah, again, it's just very much on a card of all these fights are like that. It's hard to get really excited. Sure, fun fights. It's hard to get confident you're going to make money by picking one side or the other.
Yeah, you're not putting your 401k on Kaynan Kruchewsky here, is what we're really saying. It's probably going to come down to standing up between the two of these guys, volume, and then I think power. I would side with Kruchewsky. So I'm with you, but yeah, I mean, all of these. I mean, there are a lot of really, really closely lined fights this week because there's stink on everybody. You know what I mean? There's stink on the favorites. Everybody. There's stink on the underdogs. It's a stinker all the way around. I hope you hit the PRP this week because, boy, oh boy, will that pay big. That'll pay huge because, I mean, the biggest favorite on the card is Miranda Maverick, but we'll talk about that fight later. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Next up, we got Bill Algeo taking on Du-Ho Choi. Bill Algeo, minus 160. Du-Ho Choi, the Korean Superman, because you can't call him a boy anymore. He's 33 years old, Cody. What happened to this kid's career? Everyone was calling for him.
Oh,
I mean, it was the Cub-Swanson fight, frankly. It's like there was so much hype, and we were in the building for that. What a war. What a great time. It was amazing. Don't get me wrong, but that was where, everyone had to basically pump the brake. I think he was like a 3-1 favorite against Cub in that fight, and we saw the limitations. Then he had he had to serve in the military and so on and so forth. Long story short, a long time has passed, and we can't really look at Du-Ho Choi as any sort of prospect whatsoever anymore, to be perfectly honest. He got the majority draw last time out, but getting controlled, taken down, and frankly should have lost that decision against Kyle Nelson. It's pretty dodgy to say the very least. And that was a year and a half ago last time we saw him. That was the road to the UFC finals, I want to say, that card. It was a strange night of fights. But yeah, I mean, getting taken down 5 times. Kyle Nelson's made tons of improvements, don't get me wrong, but that shows how the skills haven't really come along during the extended break, everything like that. Kid hasn't won a fight since 2016. I feel like Bill is shown to be, he's shown a little bit of, got knocked out by Kyle Nelson last time out. The chin had usually been pretty good, but Kyle Nelson hits super, super hard. I think what it really comes down to is Bill can mix it up, can probably secure takedowns, has decent grappling if he's able to get it there. But on the feet, outside of getting stiffed, and we haven't seen anything from Korean Superman to lead us to believe that power is even really still there at this point. I think he just outvolumes him, is able to put on a pace that Du-Ho Choi is not able to keep up with. So I think Bill Algeo is the rightful favorite here. What about you?
yeah, I'm going to agree. Du-Ho Choi was a hot starter. I mean, he would go out there and just laser beam his opponents and knock them out. Prior to signing the UFC, I think 90% of his career victories had been inside the distance, largely by knockout. He's just clean, he's precise, and he's fighting unknown competition. Comes to the UFC, 3 straight wins, all by first round finish. Knockout. Juan Manuel Puig, Sam Cecilia, Thiago Tavares, not bad. And then the UFC's got this nice little piggy bank. He's young, he's flashy, he's a definite prospect, got a nice little piggy bank. And they took a hammer and they smacked the piggy bank. Now, you'll know this, Paul, because you grew up at a time that people would give you a porcelain piggy bank and you'd put coins in it. At some point, you needed them coins. You smashed it with a hammer. And there's just no putting it back together. That's what happened to Du-Ho Choi. They derailed him right there. And I'm not saying he's not a fighter, but it, to me, proved that he was more of an athlete and a very technical, clean guy, more than just a rugged, I want to be there and fight.
Yep.
His fight with Cub Swanson, it wasn't just fight of the night, which it was. It wasn't just fight of the year, which it was. It's in the UFC Hall of Fame under their legendary fights wing, Swanson versus Choi. That's how good of a fight it was. He at no point hit the canvas in that fight. Cub Swanson hit him with 110 significant strikes, all of which were thrown from the hip side with every ounce of energy he had. And Choi took it all. They throw him in there against Jeremy Stephens in his next fight. He gets dropped. He gets knocked out. They throw him in there against Charles Jourdain. He starts off good against Charles Jourdain, ends up getting caught, dropped twice, and knocked out. Jourdain is a flim-flam striker. He throws this, quick little kick, quick little jab, quick little windmill shot. But I wouldn't rate him as a power puncher. Stephens, all day. Some of those fights those punches that Swanson was throwing, murderous. But it's that Swanson fight. He broke right there. So subsequently, Jeremy Stephens knocks him out. Subsequently, Charles Jourdain knocks him out. Takes a little bit of time off. 4 years, not quite 4 years, 3 years he takes up. No, geez, it was almost 4 years. And then comes in against Kyle Nelson. So he had taken the time off. He got his chin right. This was like a new version of Korean Superboy. Yeah, what could possibly be? And they give him a guy who he's a big favorite over. And again, he just got dog walked. It's not that he fought a terrible fight. It's that Kyle Nelson just backed him up, took him down 5 times, which this is a Kyle Nelson that be rocking 20% takedown accuracy. He has taken down 0 opponents. That's a lie. He took down Matt Sales twice. Other than that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 other opponents have never been taken down by Kyle Nelson one time. He has a 20% takedown accuracy. He's never completed more than 2 takedowns in a fight, and that was the Matt Sales fight. which was a long time ago. And if you know Matt Sales, Dominic Cruz is like best man at his wedding. Bomb. Good striker, but like fighting 2 weight classes up and can't grapple for shit. Kyle Nelson took Choi down 5 times. So you got a guy that's got no physicality. He's got no ability to fight beyond the first round. He lost a point in that Nelson fight, which caused it to be a draw, but I don't know, man. He just at no point looked comfortable, and it was because he was coming off a long layoff. Now he's coming off another like 18-month layoff since that fight against Kyle Nelson. He's 33 years old. Are we expecting a career best version? And what is a career best version? Him knocking out Sam Cecilia or Juan Manuel Puig in the first? He's shown no ability to fight beyond the first. And that's where Bill Algeo becomes a problem. So another good live betting situation, because Choi is supremely talented. I'll give him that. He's a 1-round guy. So he needs to knock out Bill Algeo in the first. Or he needs... Who's that bozo referee? It wasn't Gary Copeland, was it? Who's the bozo referee that had Algeo versus Nelson his last time out? I gotta look it up. It's gonna bug me.
I'll look it up right now while you continue.
If you don't, if you don't get a judge or a referee, sorry, that jumps in and calls the fight over real quick, then I think you bet Algeo after the first round. Again, Choi's going to have probably a little bit of a speed advantage. Technically, he's a better striker, and he does have a little more power. Algeo's coming off a knockout loss, so if he's compromised, beware. But I don't get the feeling he is compromised. He's generally a guy that's had a lot of durability. He's got a lot of pace. And although he's not the most physical guy himself, he's got good takedowns. He comes from a wrestling background. He has a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. All the pieces are there. Against stout wrestlers, he may not be able to use that physicality and use that offensive wrestling. But against Choi, who's coming off an 18-month layoff, and prior to that gave up 5 takedowns to Kyle Nelson, I would find it shocking that Bill Algeo couldn't get him to the ground if he wanted to. So Billy Boy got to get this win, and I think this is a great spot for him.
Yeah, it was Gary Copeland.
Yeah, Gary Copeland, that's what I thought.
Little jacked monster.
Maybe wouldn't be able to pass a USADA test if his life depended on it, and he's going to determine that Bill Algeo is not good to go. Like, come on, man.
Well, let's get it on.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. That one burnt my ass.
That one, yeah. I mean, that's just the game we played, though. There was... There was a knockout on last weekend that kind of annoyed me a little bit. I mean, anytime you get knocked down and your head snaps back, it's like the ref's going to jump in, but it's like they gave one of the fighters I bet on. Actually, I think it was the Josh Van one. They really gave him no opportunity to get back up. Don't get me wrong. He got rocked. He got knocked down. But, like, there was, like, zero time to, like, settle. And sometimes we see that. Sometimes we don't. It's... it's human error. It is part of the game. You just kind of have to roll with the punches and move on. And we're going to move on to Cody Durden taking on Bruno Silva. Cody Durden, a -120 favorite. Silva can be had for +100. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I'm going with Bruno Silva on this one. But again, another fight that I fully expect to be greasy and grindy and largely spent on the mat or in the clinch or up against the cage in close quarters. Both guys generally like to put on that grappling. And with Bruno Silva, here's somebody that started off his career just abysmal in the UFC, losing, a bunch of fights, 3-fight losing streak, not looking particularly good at any point. And, he's really pulled himself out of that, right? The problem with it is that he's not very active. He's never been the most active guy going. He generally takes these periods of inactivity, and then low key, he's been in the UFC for 5 years, and in the 5 years he's had 6 fights. So loses to Khalid Taha, but Taha ended up being on the juice, so it was a no contest. Loses to David Dvorak, loses to Geir Ulanbekov. That Ulanbekov fight was like the wake-up call, because even though he's getting out wrestled by him, I mean, boy, oh boy, he's getting up and he's returning fire, and he has a lot of success in that fight. I remember betting Ulanbekov, but when it came down to the decision, I didn't know who they were going to give it to. You got Tagir had 5 takedowns, Bruno Silva had 4. Tagir had 46 significant strikes. Bruno Silva had 47. He was a big underdog. He's 0-2 in the UFC. And at 125 pounds, because he'd moved down to 125 for that fight, this guy can go. Now, he's at fight-ready MMA at that time, and it looked like he is just about to burst one out of there. So we all bet him against JP Buys, because it's like he's knocking on the door of a win here, and he looks awesome against Buys. Everything he touches Buys with puts him down. 3 knockdowns, knocks him out, clean win. His fight against Victor Rodriguez, not great, but he knocks him out in a minute. That's what you're supposed to do against that level of competition. And his last time against Tyson Nam, Tyson Nam's a proven savvy vet of the game. He scores a clean knockdown, takes him down, or knocked down, gets on top, grabs a rear naked choke. Nice victory. again, there's these big pockets of inactivity, and he's not the most active guy going, but the skill is most definitely there. Now, here's where things get a little bit weird. So he was a longtime fight-ready MMA guy, and all of the positive career performances were like a direct correlation from him being at fight-ready MMA. And then I don't know if it was a falling out or if he decided to leave, but he leaves and he goes to American Top Team. Good choice, fair, good choice. Now, at American Top Team, he becomes a training partner of Cody Durden. Cody Durden spends most of his time at ATT Atlanta, but when he has a fight coming up, he goes to ATT. Both of these guys have been training partners to Alexander Pantoja in the past. Both these guys have trained together. So when Cody Durden's manager calls him and says, got a fight for you, it's Bruno Silva, he says no. He says, I don't want to fight Bruno Silva. I train with the guy. I like him. And then his manager says, oh, wow, they offered the fight to Bruno Silva. And he said, you guys aren't that friendly. And he's down for the fight. So now your manhood's on the line. What are you going to say? No, you're a prize fighter. And he's a tough, rugged American boy. This little Brazilian punk punked you out. You're going to take the fight. And that's what he did. And like, I don't know. To me, that tells me, he had hesitancy at first because he's felt Bruno Silva and he doesn't know if he can get up for it. Whereas Bruno's like, I felt you and I beat you. And when I look at the tape on it, Bruno's a better striker than Cody Durden all day. He could knock out Cody Durden if this fight stays standing. Durden's going to look to shoot. But Bruno's no fish out of water. He spent 5 years at Fight Ready. He's now at American Top Team. His defensive wrestling's solid. If you want to use MMA math and look at their comparative opponents, Tagir Alimbekov ran right through Cody Durden like he didn't exist. Whereas Bruno Silva gave him absolutely everything he could handle and then some. So yeah, the layoff worries me. Yeah, him leaving a world-class facility for another one slightly worries me. Yeah, him being like a 34-year-old flyweight worries me. Yeah, Cody Durden being a junkyard dog and fighting for it. All these things worry me, but shit, I got Bruno Silva, man. So that's the pick for me on this one.
Yeah, and like Bruno Silva was the first person to finish Tyson Nam since 2013. Marlon Moraes knocked out Tyson Nam. And like Nam's been in there with Kai Kara France, Sergio Pettis, Matt Schnell. There's other other decent names that have been in the mix, and like being able to submit him, kind of impressive to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I think he's got an advantage on the feet. Durden's going to be in trouble if he does what he likes to do, which is take him to the mat. It's not like you can just hang out there comfortably. This guy's gonna be fishing for submissions. There's probably some familiarity there. I had no idea about Bruno kind of accepting the fight before Durden, but that kind of leads me to believe that maybe he's just like, I feel pretty good about how things happened on the mats there when we were training together. So he's probably got a couple tricks up his sleeve. So yeah, Bruno Silva is also the pick for me. Curious, like him by sub. What's that? Just looking.
Yeah, that's on the table too. Because Durden last time out subbed, but then you go back to the Jake Hadley fight, is one fight prior where he wins. He's like trapped in a triangle armbar for like the better part of the second round and damn near almost taps. So Bruno Silva has always been a dog, and I just feel like he's gonna come through for us here.
Yeah, there's like plus 500s out there right now.
On the sub prop,
I don't hate a little poke on that as well. We move on down. We've got Yong Lee taking on Hyder Amil, minus 180 for Yong Lee. Hyder Amil can be had for plus 155. Who you got?
Yeah, like Yong Lee's young guy, young-ish. No doubt he's going to be making improvements. But from what you see right now, like I'm not super impressed. He gets to the UFC because he wins Road to the UFC. Where you mostly just fight Southeast Asian, I wouldn't even call them all prospects, but you go through a little tournament and then it culminates with a final fight. He takes on Yitza in his final fight, gives up 5 takedowns, didn't get outstruck, but he outstruck his opponent 25-24. And so he fights for 3 rounds. He lands 25 significant strikes and gives up 5 takedowns and wins a split decision. And just like that, you win the UFC. So I'm not saying like he didn't earn his way to the UFC, but it's kind of a soft way to get in. You can tell that he's green in a lot of areas, and I don't know that the learning curve is going to be there for him. They give him Blake Builder in his debut, perfect debut. So Blake Builder comes from a wrestling background, but he doesn't commit to taking his guys down. His striking is got not a whole lot of power, and it's mostly just him not cutting off the cage either, just following you around and lumbering you around. He outstrikes him 49-19 and throws 2 takedowns in the mix. Okay, great. But again, he's not a volume puncher. He's not a power puncher. He's not a great grappler. He's not like some guy that's deep with his cardio. There's not a whole lot that I love about him, to be honest. With his Hyder Amil is like quite the opposite. He's not young. He's old. I think he's like 34 years old. He turned pro at 27. That's old to be turning professional in a sport like mixed martial arts, but he's out of Gilbert Melendez's gym and he fights like a prime Gilbert Melendez. Like he's just balls to the walls. He just comes forward at all time. At no point does he take any step backwards. He'll shoot takedowns. He'll stand with you. He'll brawl with you. If you take him down, no problem. He'll just get back up and he'll resume it. I wouldn't say he has endless cardio, but it's when he's tired, he just keeps going. No point is this guy looking up at the clock. No point is this guy got his hands on his hips. He's there to do a job, and he does it. Now, you can say a lot of things about, he's 34 years old, and he was a late starter to the sport, but he also didn't take a whole lot of damage. So there's pros and cons to it. It's one thing to say, we're going to talk about the Cody Gibson fight later, but like those guys got a lot of wear and tear on the body. Amil doesn't. So you see him on the Contender Series, he's taking on a high-level wrestler, and he gets taken down, he gets controlled. Again, at no point is he not there to fight. He lands the more damaging shots, even though he's getting controlled. The judges like it. It's in the apex. He's already fought here before. All good. It's that next fight against Fernie Garcia. It's just the same thing. He just works him. Got a knockdown. Tons of volume, man. He finished him 7 minutes and 12 seconds into the fight. So it's an under 1.5 round. In that under 1.5 round, he landed 79 significant strikes, but also had a takedown and 2 submission attempts and a knockdown.
And he knocked out Fernie Garcia, who's a Mexican. It's like next to impossible. That's like
next to impossible. And yet, so to me, this guy is very much the total package. Now, how far is his how high is his ceiling? Well, that remains to be seen. I will admit, we talked about it. He's a bit of a slow starter to the sport, a little bit of a late starter, I guess I should say. Maybe it affects him, maybe it doesn't. But what we're getting right now is a prime version, a prime athlete in the prime of his career. He doesn't got a ton of wear and tear. He's not super long in the tooth. In fact, he's still getting better fight to fight as he accrues high-level experience. This matchup here against Jeong Lee, I seen Lee give up takedowns to worse guys. I seen Lee get outworked by worse guys. Amil just seems to have him beat all over. So yeah, it's like buried on a greasy card and it's another, greasy fight. But like this one, my gut tells me Amil's just going to walk right through. Like this is the one we want to key in on amongst a few other fights on the card. But my brain tells me, listen, you got a guy that's got one fight in the UFC. He's 34 years old. He's taking on a kid that's, I don't know, 6 or 7 years younger than him, and it's a fight. A fight's a fight. If it goes to decision, you got to rely on these judges getting it right and this and that. But again, at some point, you just got to grow a set and decide who do you like and who are you going to back this week. And I like Hyder Amil.
Yeah, cowards. I was gonna say I just hit submit, but they only want 5. That makes sense. Hey, okay. Usually they'll allow a lot more than that. They only wanted $500 on Hyder Amil plus 175 because they know. Mason knows Cody. Plus 175. I took Hyder Amil because like that volume plus his wrestling background and just turn it into a dogfight. It should be at least competitive. If it goes to the judges, it goes to the judges, and you gotta hope that that you get the nod, but. If it goes to the judges and it's relatively competitive, I'm not going to be mad with a plus 175. So I'm with you there on Hyder Amil. That was like one of the bigger underdogs on the card I had circled coming into this. That like that line didn't really make sense. They opened it at like plus 285. Like it was like almost minus wild. 400, and it got steamed down. But then there's a little bit of money coming back on the Korean side, and I don't really get it, to be perfectly honest.
Those K-pop stars, man, they got deep pockets. They got deep pockets. So. They can move markets with just push of 2 buttons.
I'm curious.
And Dave Mason doesn't want to take $500 from a sharp, but he'll take a big bet from a K-pop star all day.
Why do you think Connor's allowed to make these $500 limits bets on it right now? In fairness, that fight only does. They don't want to be taken on anything right now, I suppose. At least on that fight, they seem. No, everything seems to be $500 limits right now. Well, I'll be back. I'll be back for more once you get those limits fired up. What's the main event limit right now? Oh, even the main event is only $500 limits right now. Yeah, I guess. They're probably saying that like they're probably focusing on like the Open Championship, golf They're probably getting a lot of golf action this week. So I feel like it's like, pretty low limits for this early in the week typically.
Oh, they'll open it. They're just waiting for the market to move the lines to where they're supposed to be. Because
They
listen,
are
dude,
the market.
we
They
do,
are the
yeah,
lines, though. Everyone just
right. But all
copies
we
them.
do, I know. But all we do is look at tape and look at fights and break down fights week to week. And then this is a card that you can very much sit there and be like, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. So then as the week goes by, all of a sudden it's like, Maverick's taking on a bunch of money. Oh, and Kaynan Kruchewsky's taking on money. Bruno Silva's taking on money. Bill Algeo and Hyder Amil. Then all of a sudden it's like, because it's soft limits and small opens, the market has just collectively slowly moved it for you, and you're not taking too much damage. Then you open it up. Yeah, okay, go ahead, put 2-3 grand on it if you want. But your pick that was minus 240 is now minus 450. Like, I've never seen lines move 100, 150 points like a few hours before the cards until like the last few cards. It's like some of these just jump up, and not always for the better. I had that Anthony Romero in the PFL. I got him at minus 170. He went off at minus 550 and lost. So like I don't know, and that's a PFL card, fair. But even the UFC cards, the last number of them, last week's a great example. What was that bullshit that got added late? Darius Flowers versus Evan Elder, right? Evan Elder opens up at like minus 400. We do the show, he's minus 425. I look at it in the morning, he's minus 450. He goes up at minus 650. Who moved it 200 points like that? So I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. A guy that's got one round of cardio up at altitude on like 4 days notice.
Yeah, that
the UFC.
Darius Flowers management needs to be fired because, like, what are you doing signing? Like, that was like worst case scenario for a guy with his limitations to be put into
he did
that
himself
situation.
a favor. He did himself a favor by doing it. I thought about it too, but you and I broke it down on the show that the only reason he would have taken it, here's a guy that's already 0-2 in the UFC, has not looked good, just got absolutely taken down and throttled by Michael Johnson on the ground. He's 1-10 as a pro boxer, and he got into the UFC off the Contender Series because his opponent accidentally broke his own arm as a 5-1 favorite. So and he said this in his interview too, when they asked him about why'd you take the fight, he's like, I felt like I had no other option. And he did it. He did it. If he said no, sorry, no thanks, they just release him from his contract. Easy as that. Like, again, the fact that they're releasing guys like Nate Maness, who are 5-2 and coming off a win, the fact that they're releasing those kind of guys, they don't care about this. You won 2 fights back. Oh, it's only a 2-fight losing. They're just going to cut you. Do you want the fight or not? Darius Flowers is already on the chopping block. But because he said yes, and he's now 0-3. Nothing's changed. Still a 1-10 pro boxer. Still bullshit win on the Contender Series to get here. They'll give him that 4th fight because he said yes. So instead of, no, sorry, I can't fight in Colorado, and that's the end of his UFC career, he instead got to fight in Colorado, got $12,000 to show up, got $5,000 from Venom, signed a few autographs here and there. I don't know. Collectively lost money probably still, but made a little bit some. And then he gets a full fight camp 4th fight on his deal against probably a soft-ish type competitor, and then likely loses, and that's the end of it. But he had no other choice. And when I look at some of these fights, I often wonder, like, how many of these guys signed up like, yeah, that's a fight I love, and how many of them was like, hey man, you haven't fought in 18 months. Hey man, Duho Choi, like, you're making a considerable amount of money. We're just gonna pull the plug on this. Like, do you want to fight? And he just says yes. Like, how many of are there? One's got to wonder, right?
Hondo P. All right, we got Cody Gibson taking on Brian Boom Kelleher. Minus 190 for Cody Gibson, plus 165 for Brian Boom Kelleher. Who you got here?
Yeah, this one's if you're a fight analysis guy, I think you take Brian Kelleher. If you're a fight narrative guy, I think you take Cody Gibson. Like, the thing with Kelleher is you can't fault him for this 3-fight losing streak. It's Umar Nurmagomedov, Mario Batista, and Cody Garbrandt. So where people say he's washed, and he is, it's not because he's losing to those guys. He's washed because he's a 38-year-old bantamweight who hasn't picked up a win in only 2 years, but he hasn't picked up like a significant win probably since, I don't know, Ode Osborne, a flyweight, Hedden Barrow, maybe. That fight was 6 years ago. When he wins, it's against the bottom level type guys. Ray Rodriguez, Hunter Azer, Domingo Pilarte, Kevin Kroon. That's the kind of level that he can be.
Yeah.
So in one sense, it's like that's him at his best, and it's 2-3 years ago against limited competition, then like I don't know I can really get behind him. I think his technical boxing is better than Cody Gibson's. I think his speed is better than Cody Gibson's. His sheer power is probably as good than Cody Gibson's. He's got a great scrambling ability. He's got a great guillotine choke. And I think when the going gets tough, even though Gibson is a dog, Kelleher might have slightly better gas tank. It's the fact that he had like a massive spinal injury, right? Has his like neck fused. His doctors tell him, you ain't ever gonna fight again. And you shouldn't ever fight again. And then he does, and he takes on Cody Garbrandt, which huge slap in the face from the UFC. Like, here's a tenured guy who's at the tail end of his career, who's on a 2-fight losing streak against 2 murderers, who just got blasted by Mario Batista, just got blasted by Umar Nurmagomedov, took like 6 months off or plus, fused his neck. Doctors say don't fight anymore, and you give him a former champion on his welcome back. Like, and then yeah, oh, he was swinging on Garbrandt, but you could see he was a little slower. He was a little more gun shy. And as soon as he got hit, he went down. So if durability is a problem, if he's not in great shape, if he's not able to, push it the way he used to, the guy's a 40-fight veteran. He has 40 professional fights, a massive neck injury. He's coming off another long layoff coming into this fight. He hasn't fought since December of last year. So how much can you love it? Like, how much can you get behind it? All those reasons would lead me to sway towards Cody Gibson, who technically in the UFC, he's on a 4-fight losing streak. That's because it's, 2 separate tenures. But as terms of his last tenure, since he got re-signed through the Ultimate Fighter, he hasn't looked terrible. His fight with Brad Katona, he landed 164 significant strikes on Katona. Tons of volume. Did get tired in that fight, but it was a hectic fight in terms of, overall pace. And he kept it up for large part. His next fight against Miles John crotch sniffed him hurt. Like, gave him no space to operate. Just clinches him up against the cage the entire time. So tough fight to deal with, but Brian Kelleher is an entertainer. Brian's boom Kelleher likes to entertain the fans. He likes to chase bonuses. He likes to hit you with an overhand right or snatch up that neck with the guillotine choke. Again, when you go back to his wins, Domingo Pilarte, Ray Rodriguez, he's able to take those guys down. I don't think he takes down Cody Gibson. Therefore, he's just going to have to use that speed in those boxing combinations. But because his durability and his age in the 40 pro fights, and Gibson's only a year younger and has 30 pro fights. So I'm not saying it's like young kid on the block versus the old man. It's that he doesn't have a massive neck injury. He doesn't not coming off this long layoff. He hasn't been inactive over the years. He does have some quality victories when you consider, the guys beat John Dodson a couple years back. Like, that to me is better than anything that Kelleher has done. Kelleher fights world-class guys, but then gets straight up exposed. So in this fight with Gibson's the bigger man. I think by the numbers, he's 5'10" with a 71-inch reach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brian Kelleher's 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. So he's got a 5-inch reach advantage and a 4-inch height advantage. Kelleher is not going to take him down. And so using that speed, being the smaller man, trying to outbox him at range is all well and good in the beginning, but Kelleher's not a big volume guy. The most volume he's ever landed in a fight was all the way back in the Head and Brow fight. But anything of recent note, 50 might be able to what he's able to accrued up. I just don't think it's enough, man. I think Cody Gibson could take down Kelleher if he pleases. He could just stand and outwork him if he pleases, or he might just catch him with a big shot. But they are both expired milk. And even though I'm still willing to have a sip because I'm willing to go a week or two past the expiration date, you're playing with fire here, betting either side. So pick for me is Cody Gibson. I picked against Cody Brunridge last week because he's a quitter named Cody. Cody Gibson is a winner named Cody. The guy's got heart for days. He doesn't actually always win, but he'll fight for your dollar 100%. He'll give you what he's got. I can appreciate that. I'm going to take him.
Cody Brundage really wanted to get that
DQ bum. And we talked about that too, man. Yeah, because he's like,
dude, he was really hoping. I like that they had like the was it Big Dan? I like that Big Dan was in there making that call because
Mark Smith or Gary Copeland or somebody. Oh,
and that wouldn't even be the first time that Cody Brundage has pulled that exact move, right?
We talked about it on the show. When he loses, it's just like
it was the Malkoon one that he pulled that exact same.
That one cost me a lot. I don't even want to talk about it. That was like my biggest single loss in a long time. I was so sure that Malkoon beats him 10 out of 10 times. Malkoon with the flu and a torn meniscus beats him 9 out of 10 times. And he gets DQ'd in a fight that he's absolutely throttling him in. Yeah, that was a tough one.
You can't hate like Al Hassan came in there like he owed him rent, man. Like he was coming for the kill, and he was about to finish him probably in the next 20 seconds. A couple of the elbows hit kind of around the back of the head, and but at least I like them calling those no contest. Like flipping those and calling it like a DQ,
Yeah, no contest is
kind of egregious. I suppose they would do that because, like, if it's late in a fight, in round three, I think you could kind of change the rules on that, right? It's like round one, it's like obviously he's just trying to go for the finish. He's trying to win this fight.
Yeah, but he
round
but he
three,
warns
if
him.
you got
he
yourself,
warns him twice.
I guess
Paul.
round
He says,
three
"Yo,
would be
watch
going
out
to
the back of the head.
scorecards.
Watch out the back of the head." Does it a second time? Watch out the back of the head. And Cody Brundage is like, "Oh shit, he's been warned twice."
I got this one. Give me my
Because he's an
paycheck.
absolute. I would never call UFC a pussy, a UFC fighter a pussy. I went.
Sounds
How
like you're
could
about
you?
to.
Other than this guy, like, come on, man, my God. But yeah, no contest is fine. The Pierre Rodriguez headbutt from like a month ago, like he's like, "Hey, watch out," and she looks at him. She's like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And just pelts her straight in the face. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I profited off of that one bigly with Carnelossi. So
yeah, so did I, because I had Carnelossi. So I'm mixed to it. It's like when you warn somebody and you're like, "Yo, don't do it again," then you should do it again.
Though.
Abdul Razak Al Hassan, he's raging out, dude. He's like breaking this guy's head off the ground. Like he's going wild. And it's like, "Hey man, watch out." At no point does he acknowledge, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep it clean." It's like, just keep doing it. Now, no contest is fair because at least with Carnelossi, like she was in a fight. She got front kicked, her nose was broken. It's later in the fight. It's later in the fight. Yeah, Brundage, it's like, "Hey man, keep your eye on this guy. They don't call him Cody Bumdage for nothing. He's gonna look for a way out, and he's hoping to get his opponent DQ'd." And then that exact same, it's not by fluke. We talked about it for like 10 minutes last week, and like pretty much the exact same thing just happens. You think that's a fluke? No, this is who he is. So, anyways, all we're doing is talking about the good Codys and the bad Cody. Gibson's the good one. Bumdage is the bad one.
What's the saying? It's like when people try to tell you who they are, believe them. Cody Brundage just told us who he is. We have seen it, and like even
the fight,
pulling Gilly against Rodolfo Vieira, that's just a different way of giving up on the fight, in my humble opinion. Right? It's just like you're like, this is like maybe a 0.5% outcome that somehow I just lock up the perfect guillotine. But if I'm on my back against this guy when I'm as tired as I am right now, it is over curtains. Game, set, match. Yeah, I like Gibson as well. I feel like wrestling gets negated in this fight. And we did see Cody Gibson when he went up against Brad Katona. Very, very close fight. Wrestling got negated in that fight. And what ends up happening, he puts up 164 significant strikes to 160. Tit for tat. I just don't know if I've seen from Kelleher through the course of his career in the UFC his ability to really get over like 80 significant strikes. Wouldn't stun me, I suppose, if Kelleher's able to find that patent guillotine, but the only prop I see out on that right now is plus 600, and I feel like that's not. I'd need like over plus 1,000. Like I kind of see that as like a 10-1 outcome. So wouldn't be enough for me to jump in on a Kelleher sub. I think it's Gibson, and then it's either late or by decision. Miranda Maverick takes on Dione Barbosa, minus 210 for Miranda. Fear the Maverick. Barbosa can be had for plus 180. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you live bet this one after Miranda Maverick either loses the first round or that it's a very competitive first round. And then I would bank on her to take over after that. First of all, like she's very physically fit. We all know that about her. Like she's pretty jacked up, but she's still only 27 years old. So where she's green and does make a lot of mistakes in these fights, no doubt about it that she is improving fight to fight. Dione Barbosa, meanwhile, is 33 years old, taking this fight on very short notice. It was initially supposed to be Miranda Maverick versus Tracy Cortez. Tracy Cortez bails last week to fight Rose Namajunas in the main event, and Miranda Maverick gets Dione Barbosa, who takes the fight on a week notice. But Barbosa fought like 2 months ago, not even 2 months ago. She was, I can't pronounce the name, that's why I'm looking it up.
Ernesta
Caracate. Yeah, and dude, I thought Caracate won that fight, man. Goddamn. Like Barbosa wins the first round. She took her down. But second round, she's huffing and puffing, gets outworked, gets outlanded. And then in the third round, she cannot get the fight to the ground and she gets outworked pillar to post. So Barbosa first round all day. Ernesta third round all day. It's how you score that second round. The judges didn't necessarily agree, but she squeaked that one out. And again, that one's 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, you take a few weeks off, you start getting back into casual training. UFC calls you up. Hey, we're moving this fight to that fight. You got nothing planned, but do you want to jump into this big spot? You do. But man, I just watched you get absolutely gassed in a much easier fight than the one presented to you against a girl that has solid grappling, solid pace, and has been training the full 12 weeks. Not only has she been training for the full camp, but Tracy Cortez is a wrestler. So I would think that Miranda Maverick has largely spent a lot of time working on her grappling. It's not like Dione Barbosa is a fish out of water. She is a judo black belt. But again, I think the longer the fight goes, she's been taken down by lesser opponents. Rain Guerrero on the Contender Series took her down. Ernesta Caracate, her last time out, did manage to take her down. And the longer the fight went and her gassing out seemed very problematic to me. Miranda Maverick, her last two fights, Priscilla Cachoeira subs her in the third round. At no point does she look tired. She gets the 3 easy takedowns. She's in cruise control. She gets a third round armbar just for good measure. That's who she is. She's in fantastic shape. She can fight a full 15 minutes, and she's still young and getting better. That next fight with Andrea Lee, to me, though, was the real good one because she has a bad time in the first round. She's getting out muscled a little bit. And then the longer the fight goes, Lee, a veteran of the division who's fought in high-level competition, starts to slow down, and Maverick does not. Clean 29-28, wins the latter half of that fight. This fight with Barbosa is much of the same. Maverick's striking is a work in progress. I wouldn't say it's good. Barbosa's striking is not great, but maybe there's even like the slightest edge there when they're both fresh. Barbosa's judo black belt, I think that allows her to keep this first round upright, and then maybe she lands a few better strikes than Maverick. It's a close first round. Maybe she edges Maverick in the first round. Second and third, she's going to start to slow. When she starts to slow, she's going to get taken down by Maverick. Once Maverick starts to up that heat, put the pressure on her, start to crank up the volume, she's going to cruise to a decision or maybe pick up some type of late stoppage. I'm thinking nothing on the stoppage, probably a decision, but the short notice nature of it at least makes a third round finish on the table for Maverick, who again submitted Priscilla Cachoeira in the third. She's always looking for the finish if it's there. Now, she spent the last like 6 or 8 weeks with Rose Namajunas, who you just saw fight last weekend and looked pretty good. And then she spent the last 2 or 3 weeks with Jasmine Jasavicius, who fought on last weekend's card and also looked really good. So her training's been top notch. She's had a full camp. She's young, getting better, in phenomenal shape. And the second and third round to me will be the key here. So I see why money's coming in on her as opposed to the opener for this fight. And I agree with it. But I will suggest if you don't want to pay a minus 210 on a women's MMA fight, I'm not going to blame you on that. Have a look at that first round. Maybe it's possible that Dione wins the first, and after that, you could get some type of even money or maybe a slight plus money on Maverick, and that's where I'd expect her to start taking over.
Yeah, I would have loved Maverick at minus 150, which is kind of settled for like a week there. I wasn't looking that far ahead. I wasn't looking that far ahead, but definitely would have felt better about it than at the minus 210. But you make a lot of good points there. Round one could be a little bit dicey. Barbosa has some half-decent submission skills, but we've seen Maverick in there against some of the... I mean, she went to the decision against Erin Blanchfield. Like, Blanchfield's one of the best submission experts in the division, so good luck with that. It could be a little bit dicey in round one, but as the fight wears on, fighting at altitude, helping get Rose ready for her 5-round fight at altitude can only really all mean good things. And yeah, Dione Barbosa had a really good round one against Ernesta, and then the wheels started to fall off 100%. I remember I was on Ernesta in that fight, like plus 170, maybe even more.
I was on Dione, but it was obviously a bad pick.
I mean, it was one of those ones that when it went to decision, I think I actually had Ernesta by split decision at like 10-1 or something like that as well.
Crazy.
It went Dione Barbosa's way, but like I didn't feel bad about the bet. I knew it was relatively close, but I felt like I made a good bet, just kind of got the wrong result. You make a lot of good points. I feel like as this fight goes on, Maverick should take over. It's a little bit too early in the week for like props and stuff like that, but I'll be looking for like best on market Maverick round 3 props because Barbosa did look pretty slow in round 3, my humble opinion. We got Trey Ogden taking on Loik Radzhabov. It's a straight pick 'em, homie. Who you got?
I'm gonna take Loik. Sorry, no. I'm gonna take Trey Ogden. But yeah, like a who done it this week. This is a close competitive fight that both guys seemingly have just like different tools. I just don't know how good either guy really is. What I mean by that is, Loik's going for the takedown 100%. The guy's a madman. When he fought Esteban Ribovics in his UFC debut, he scored 11 takedowns. Against Matus Rebecki, that one's an odd one. Rebecki was supposed to be good, although he absolutely torched me earlier this year. Rebecki on paper is good, but it's that Loik misses weight for that fight. He comes in overweight, something that's not usual for him. I mean, he's generally on the money. And then the fight starts, and like he don't look like himself whatsoever. So I want to give him a pass there that maybe there was something wrong with the weight cut. Maybe there was an injury. Maybe he wasn't quite himself. And he comes back against Abdul Karim Al-Sawadi, 4 takedowns, and ends up getting a 3rd-round knockout. So he's another one of these power guys. He's power, come forward, swing these big, hard punches. And if he catches you, perfect. He is your basically your prototypical Tajikistan fighter. Very strong wrestling, very strong hands, doesn't throw a ton of volume, lots of muscle, lots of power being exerted all the time, tons of energy being used at all time. I'm not fully convinced on his gas tank. You could say he knocked out Al-Sawadi his last time out in the 3rd round. Sure. Well, he's not very good. And second of all, Loik's tired. They just both happen to be tired. He can be outworked. It's that he uses his wrestling heavy approach in all of his fights, that if he runs into somebody that can stuff those takedowns, he's going to get outworked. And not only that, he's going to get frustrated that he's not getting the takedowns as he's accustomed to. So he's going to use them to use more energy and expend more power. And that's just going to gas him out. And then this person that can stuff the takedowns will chip away at him, tire him out, either get a late submission or win 2 and 3. Ogden can be that guy, but I don't know how good his takedown defense is. In the UFC, it's 100%. He's never been taken down. But he fought Jordan Levitt, just a rinky-dink jiu-jitsu guy. Daniel Zellhuber is more of a kickboxer boxer. Ignacio Bahamondes is just a striking dynamo. Nicholas Moda, he's not really great anywhere, but he's a BJJ black belt with some decently heavy hands. Definitely not a wrestler. And Kurt Holobaugh, who mostly just flops to his back and allows you to take him down. So he's not actually fought anybody like Loik Radzhabov. He's not had to take on any of these like power wrestlers that'll chain a few takedown attempts together and really be heavy on you. And that to me is a little bit worrisome. But since he started up his own gym, Marathon MMA, he's been working with solid wrestlers in the Midwest. Miles John, he's been on a career resurgence since getting with Trey Ogden. They seem to fight smart game plans. He himself is a BJJ black belt. He does have good grappling. And I just feel like he's going to put it together the right game plan to beat Loik. If you go back to his Jordan Levitt fight, that was like the one that kind of exposed him as he got outworked by Jordan Levitt. But since then, I mean, he's been pretty good. He outworks Daniel Zellhuber. His loss to Ignacio Bahamondes, he gave a respectable performance.
I'd say that's
his fight with Nicholas Mata.
The Bahamondes won because he shot 1 takedown over the course of 15 minutes. Like, you're never going to win that fight at range against Bahamondes. Like, you got to at least.
Yeah, but he's taking on a guy that's 6'3" in the division and super big, super long, and he's mostly striking with it the whole time. So I am, yeah, okay. He probably should have tried to wrestle a lot more, but at least to be able to take on a solid striker. Yeah, he got a no contest over Nicholas Mata, which was bullshit because he dominates.
Should have been
3 takedowns. Smothers him once he is on the ground, grabs a arm triangle choke, and unfortunately, the guy didn't tap. They roll it back. It's no contest. His last time out against Kurt Holobagh's a black belt, man. But again, he gets on top of Holobaugh 3 times and just absolutely neutralizes him. So this is why this fight is so difficult to break down. You know where Ogden's at his best. Yeah, he can throw up volume, but he's got 0 career wins by knockout. He's not knocking anybody out. Okay, so he can either do a volume-based attack with his stand-up like he did against Zellhuber, or he can get these takedowns. Against Loik, normally he's taking down Loik. So now he's got to outwork Loik, and that's all fine and good. Mind your P's and Q's, avoid those murderous overhand hooks, and use the jab, use the low kicks, use the volume, outwork this guy and stuff the takedowns. But that's what it comes down to. Can he stuff the takedowns? Because you've not seen it yet. So this one's got a lot of mysteries to me. It's got a lot of, I wouldn't say red flags, but more so unknowns. It's like Loik's cardio. I don't think it's good, but it hasn't really been exposed for you to have a good look at recently. Ogden, 100% takedown defense, but he's short on fighting these power wrestlers. Loik doesn't got volume, there's just a lot of flowing around. But the very last thing that I'll say here, and this is the reason why I locked in with Ogden, and I ain't changing it, I ain't feeling bad about it, is Loik this fight against Abdul Karim Al-Sawadi. That guy not good. Like, that guy not good. And that guy took him down 3 times. Here's the difference. When Al-Sawadi gets a takedown, Loik can muscle his way back up. When Ogden gets a takedown, it's like melting like cheese, dude. He just melts like cheese on top of you, and then there's no space. There's no space to scramble. There's no space to get up. So if he gets 3 takedowns, it'll go way further than Al-Sawadi's 3 takedowns. And I feel like the ability to outwork them ever so slightly with the volume and then mix in those takedowns at key times, take them into deep waters, hard third round, lose the first, win the third. Going to come down to the second. I think Ogden's got the proper game plan to pull it off. So I'll go with Trey Ogden. But again, I can see either guy getting their hand raised here.
It sounds like a recipe for a split decision in this fight, because now we're getting down to judges scoring, control time, and wrestling, and like I don't know, on the feet it's going to be pretty competitive between the two of them. Yeah, it's a really, really, really tough one. But like Loik, in his PFL days, like obviously taken down by like Natan Schultz and guys like that. It's a similar matchup to that. It's going to be close. It's going to be greasy. It's probably going to go to the scorecards. So is there a math? I mean, I think at a pick 'em, I think it's probably pretty fair. I'm going to side with you on Trey Ogden as well, because I do like the last two fights from him. I feel like he's shown that, like, a really, really smart game plan there. But those takedowns aren't going to be so easy in this spot. So it could be a little bit difficult. And, not a fight that I really think I have much of an edge. I'll see, like, what fight ends in split. Not even picking any side of this fight being in a split, but, like, just fight ends by split could be, like, plus 300 or something like that. It's too early for those props, but let me take a look at one of those, because I could definitely see this one being uber, uber close. We got Luana Carolina taking on Lucy Pudilova. Luana Carolina, minus 120 favorite. Lucy can be had for plus 100. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, Lucy Pudilova just has never been able to find her groove as far as I'm concerned. Like, she can grapple a little bit, she can strike a little bit, but there's no comfort zone. And what I mean by that is, here's a girl that would be rocking a 27% takedown accuracy. Like, wrestling, it ain't her thing. Her takedown defense, 65%. It also really is not her thing. But when you look at these fights, when she loses, her fight with Liz Carmouche, she gives up 3 takedowns. Sarah Moras takes her down twice. Lena Landsberg takes her down. Justine Kish takes her down. It's like, that's the way to beat Lucy Pudilova, is take her down. And the UFC cuts her because she can't stuff a takedown. She goes to the regional scene. She has mixed results on the regional scene. And then she gets signed back to the UFC. Only this new version of Lucy Pudilova, she's not looking to strike as much anymore. She's looking to wrestle. And that's exactly what she does. She took down Wu Yanan down twice and beat her. She took down Jocelyn Edwards down twice and lost. And then her last fight against Eileen Perez, she couldn't take down Eileen Perez. So she got taken down twice and she lost. And it just sounds so boring, because it is. It's, if she can take you down and control you, maybe she can win. If you take her down, you win. But in both instances, it's not what her comfort level is. She's a striker. She was a volume striker. She wanted to get into these scraps. Once she realized, oh, that don't work. Oh, this grappling thing works. Everyone just keeps taking me down. All of a sudden, she wanted to do that. And now that's her game. But again, it wasn't what she was trained to do. It wasn't her at her best. She's not a great grappler. It's something that she picked up as a second skill. And that second skill is not as good. Now you're getting to the UFC, you're trying to implement it against dog talent, man. Wu Yanan, oof. Jocelyn Edwards, she lost the Edwards fight on a split decision because even though she got the 2 takedowns, she gets outstruck 56-39. There's no volume. She's just clinging on to her. I think it's Eileen Perez. It went 15 minutes. She landed 20 significant strikes and 0 takedowns. Couldn't take down Perez. Could strike with Perez. It's like, what is there about her to like? To me, there's nothing. Now, Luana Carolina, she's much opposite. She's fought way better level of competition. Joanne Wood, Molly McCann, Lupi Godinez. In fact, she got a win over Lupi Godinez. She got a win over Storolenko her last time out. Not great, but a solid performance. Stuffs all the takedowns, stuffs the armbar. One of them looked tight right at the end of the first round, but for the most part, like, just broke this girl down, and constant damage, constant volume. She lands 66 significant strikes through not even 2 rounds. Fair. Her fight with Joanne Calderwood, she got taken down twice and still landed 100 significant strikes. Her fight with Lupita Godinez, if you remember that one, Lupita is just on her waist the entire time, and she still doubles up Lupi and takes a unanimous decision over her. So whereas she's not super physically strong, she enjoys being in the clinch because she's very tall. At range, she's got Pudilova all day. In the clinch, I think she's got Pudilova. If she does get taken down, which obviously is Lucy's path to victory and what she'll be pursuing, I think she's good enough to get up. And it's when she gets up, she'll be landing short elbows in the clinch, short knees in the clinch. If Lucy shoots a bad takedown, she's able to reverse and get on top. She's going to chop her up with her ground and pound. The judges are going to appreciate it. They're going to look for the damage over the control time, and they're going to score for Luana Carolina. So she's the play for me this week.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with pretty much all your points there. I mean, the striking, I think, is kind of what it really comes down to here. I think it's relatively competitive. I could see it being. I mean, if nobody's wrestling, I think wrestling's going to probably get negated here. Do you think Pudilova has that much of a wrestling advantage? Because I don't really see
I don't. If you can stuff Loopy's takedowns, I know Fight Metric will tell you it was 2. She got taken down twice, but what was it? Twice on. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. She got taken down twice on 15 attempts. 15 attempts by Loopy, who've been taken down pretty much everybody when she wants to.
Yeah.
2. And of those 2, she gave up 7 minutes and 40 seconds of control time. And at the end of the fight, not one person I spoke to thought Lupita Godinez won it because she couldn't get any striking off. So Carolina she's difficult to.
You have to take her down in like the center of the cage. Like if you get up against the wall, she uses that long frame. She's like able to, posture up, makes it very, very difficult for like, the single leg or trying to use the wall to take your opponent down. Yeah, I think it's Carolina all day, to be perfectly honest. I mean, going through like their stats, going through, peak performances, I suppose.
Level of opponent.
Yeah, like where, I mean, Luana, I mean, I guess Pudilova's top perform, like Irina Aldana having a very, very competitive fight. It was 2018, so it was 6 years ago, don't get me wrong, but having a very, very close striking affair there. Like I suppose that fight back then, if this turns into just a striking match between the two of them, that's where you have a super, super close fight. But I don't know. I rate Luana Carolina. I was very impressed with her going down into the only place that Stolyarenko could have any sort of success and being able to survive in all of those positions. Like a lot less people would have probably tapped, and she didn't, and then she put a stamp on it after she had gassed out Stolyarenko. So yeah, I'm with you, Luana Carolina. Am I gonna bet it? I'll wait for weigh-ins because this card just screams that like something dodgy is gonna happen at weigh-in. Someone's gonna come in.
Speaking of that, let's talk about this next fight.
Muhammad Usman. I mean, they're heavyweights.
Oh. Well, yeah, no weight miss, but just a stinky fight. God damn.
Muhammad Usman takes on Thomas Peterson, -130 for Mo Usman. Peterson could be at for +110. There has been some money coming in on Thomas Peterson. And Cody, I know you hate Mo Usman. He may be on like the bottom of your list. You have not had anything nice to say about this guy since he came into the UFC. And you got your bread back against Mick Parkin, but that was competitive. No one's really had too much success trying to take him down. Not that he's taking on any sort of, elite wrestlers, but I think the big problem here that I see, and I saw it in the fight for Thomas Peterson against Jamal Pogues, is 1 for 6 on takedowns against Pogues. It's like Peterson's supposed to have some sort of wrestling pedigree. Well, it's like that should have been a matchup where he was able to employ that. I think it's Usman. I think it's Usman all day. I think the number is very, very playable, to be perfectly honest. Everyone kind of likes referring to this guy as being like bad Usman, but he went tit for tat, volume for volume with Jake Collier, which Collier is like a volume striker. He's obviously
bad Usman. Do you think he's good Usman? Is that what? You think he's better than Kamaru? Is that what you're saying?
No.
There has to be a good Usman and a bad
like
Usman.
To call him
good Usman,
bad Usman, but I think that kind of creates some value for him in the market. I mean, knocked out Zach Pauga, Junior Taffa fight. That is straight ugly. But, he did what he had to do. Got takedowns, got 12 minutes of control time. He's going in there with like half-decent game plans, and that's more than I can say for Thomas Peterson, who went for 1 for 6 against Jamal Pogues and takedowns. Like, if this turns into a striking match, don't you think Usman probably edges it out?
Yeah, honestly, dude, I'm not going to disagree with you because this one's one that I've been flipping and flopping back and forth. On one hand, Pedersen should be better. Like, he's 29 years old. He comes from a better wrestling background. It seems like he can get a takedown. And when he's on top, he's actually pretty good. Got good ground and pound, good top control. Is that if he can't take you down, his striking is just robotic, man. It's a work in progress. I'm not saying Usman's some great striker, but like I do give the advantage in the striking to Usman. And yeah, Usman also comes from a wrestling background. Yeah, he played football, but again, him and his brother Kamaru, both solid wrestlers. Kamaru went on to pursue wrestling a little bit more, and this guy played a little more football. But all the same, he's got good hips, and he's never been taken down in the UFC. It's just who's taken down, who's tried to take him down? Nobody, right? Mick Parkin is a boxer from England. Jake Collier is a former middleweight. Junior Taffa is a heavyweight from like New Zealand, kickboxer. And Zach Pauga probably could also make middleweight, truth be told. But I don't really know what he does. He just kind of fights, I guess. Nobody's tried to take him down. If you want to actually do your proper tape research, you got to go back to the Brandon Sales fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Brandon Sales does take him down. Takes him down with an ankle pick of all things. He's 40 years old. Let me make sure I got that right. Brandon Sales was 40 years old in 1 week. He just turned 40 years old, and he beat the crap out of Muhammad Usman. Yeah, now that's years back, but it goes to show you the last guy that tried to take him down did take him down, and it was a 40-year-old man from Kentucky who absolutely beat the crap out of him. So take it for what it's worth. The Zach Pauga fight, that's his UFC debut. He is losing the entirety of the fight until he knocks him out, but he's getting outstruck like 32-12. The Junior Taffa fight that you brought up, he gets 11 minutes of control time in a 15-minute fight. 11 minutes. He's on top of him, controlling him, and he landed 7 significant strikes with 11 minutes of control time. It's massively embarrassing.
12 minutes, bro.
Yeah, the Jake Collier fight, I actually rate that one because he was throwing with him. He got one takedown. Eventually, he couldn't take him down anymore. He needed to throw. Collier, although he is a former middleweight, is a volume-based heavyweight now that he fights up there. He's not a power guy, obviously, but he can throw volume. And, Usman kept it close with him. He ended up getting outstruck 87-85, but throw the takedown in the mix, throw a couple bigger shots. He wins the fight. And then that Mick Parkin fight, he won the first round. He landed the better shots. He did more damage. Second and the third round, he's not going to take him down. He's not going to keep throwing volume. So I don't like Usman, but what I will give him is that he is full-time Killcliff FC. He does work out with his brother. He is getting world-class rounds. He is a guy that comes from a football and a wrestling background, so he is athletic. They call him the motor. Why? Mostly because of his fights before he came to the UFC, but he got a decent gas tank for a big guy, even in the UFC. I mean, he's gone to decision in his last 3 fights in the UFC. For a heavyweight, he's more of a decision guy. If you want to see something hilarious, look at the over on this fight. It's a heavyweight fight. The over 2.5 rounds is like minus 220 or some shit. Like everybody knows what's about to happen, and that's why it's the first fight on the card. It is a absolute stinker where you've got Thomas Pedersen is going to try to take Usman down. If he gets him down, great. He probably mauls him from top, truth be told. If he doesn't get him down, he's just going to pin him up against the cage. Usman, meanwhile, is going to try to separate, but he'll probably also be pinning up Pedersen up against the cage. At distance, Pedersen's faster, but I would say that Usman's got more power and is a little bit better technique. Probably going to go to decision. Your over-under is pretty indicative of that it's probably going to decision. And then when it goes to decision, you got 2 gassed-out wrestlers who landed 60 significant strikes each, and you got to trust Uncle Saul Diamano to get the thing right. So, what is there to like about this fight? Nothing. There's quite literally nothing. So, that was mostly talking about Usman. Let's just give Pedersen a few things. Again, he's only 29, so if he's going to get better, this is a great opportunity for him to show off some improvements. The other thing is that last fight was his UFC debut, so that's not out of the way. This is a sophomore outing. You generally see guys a lot better in that second fight in the UFC, a little more comfortable. He's fought in the Contender Series, so he's fought in this setting before. The fight over Jamal Pokes, he won the first round. He got a takedown. He did some good work. He gasses in the second and the third. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board and shore that up. But if he gets a takedown over Usman, he's winning this fight. If he gets one in the first and one in the second, then Usman's going to knock him out in the third. And I just don't see that necessarily happening. The other thing is that he's a southpaw. Usman's not really fought a ton of southpaws, but statistically speaking, that's another advantage for him. So whereas Usman maybe has a little more volume, he's not really a volume guy. He's not really a power guy. Pedersen should be able to hang with him. He beat Pokes to the punch on a number of occasions, and Pokes a fast heavyweight. So again, striking, he'll have moments. Wrestling, if he takes him down, Pedersen's going to win. If he doesn't take him down, it's just going to be a whole lot of inside the clinch, 2 guys tired, and then it's up to the judges to figure what did they like more. I'm not entirely convinced either way. To me, this is very much dog or pass type situation, and Usman is the favorite, so I'm going with Thomas Pedersen.
100%. All right, Cody. We are just about out of time. But before you go, hit him with the PRP.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just bring up the official odds as they sit right now, just so that
They've been moving. They've been moving. I mean, we even kind of ran into it when I was betting Hyder Amil that like the limits are pretty low, even at the books that usually allow bigger limits. So they'll be moving.
Yeah, I just think there's so much other combat sports this weekend that maybe they're just waiting until it's closer to. But anyways, yeah, in terms of this card, yeah, for this card, I'm gonna go with Virna Jandiroba. Looking for the over on that fight. I'm gonna take Jeong Park, Steve Garcia, Kaynan Kruchewsky, Bruno Silva, technically going to be dog number 1. We're going to go with Bill Algeo. We're going to go with Hyder Amil as dog number 2. Cody Gibson, Miranda Maverick, Trey Ogden, technically dog number 3. None of these are dogs, but like there's so many even money fights. Luana Carolina, that's another minus 120, and Thomas Pedersen. Like you could have 3 dogs or you could have 7 dogs. The numbers just got to move like 10 points in one direction. So like Paul said, if you could string together a 2-fight parlay would pay. If you could string together a 4-fight parlay, 5-fight parlay, 6-fight parlay, it's going to pay huge because everybody here is offering tons of value. I really like a lot of the over round props. I think a lot of these fights are evenly matched. Both fighters are tough. Both fighters are durable. Whereas I don't think I got a great handle on who's going to win per se. I feel like I got a good handle on which fights will be competitive and go to decision. So that's worth checking out. But then, yeah, as Paul was mentioning, Bet Online. I love that book as well. They just have so much combat sports. But yeah, you got a Uriah Favors A1 Combat. There's a Cage Warriors card. There's a Centurion card. You had to be a real degenerate to bet that one, so don't. Fury FC out of Texas. There's a KSW card on the Saturday. There's Octagon MMA card, which is actually pretty loaded up. And of course, a UFC card. So whereas I say, if you can hit a 6-fight parlay, you'd be happy. You don't necessarily have to take the 6 from this wonky ass UFC. Maybe just take the 2 you like, the 3 that you like, and then check out some of these other cards. Find something else that you can get behind and do it that way. So that's all I can really advise this weekend is people will be like, and I've seen a couple comments where it's like, man, he's not as confident in getting behind. I'm going to lie to you. I'm not looking to lie to you. And we sat here last week and we said the card's at altitude and it's a card of basically outside of the top 15 fighters in competitive matchups. You have a certain couple leans. The ones I did like, they didn't come through. It's just a tough card. This is very much it. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, guaranteed, take it to the bank. Guaranteed a 5-unit play that's going to hit. Love this card, dude. Already got a bunch of money in action. It's just
69 unit whale plays.
Bro, I hear this shit all the time. And it's just like, I don't understand how what is essentially a 50-50 fight that you've got some great. And it's like, dude, do you know the guy? And it's like, he's going to throw it. Because like, I'd be down. Hook Uncle Cody up. But it's just like, oh man, I watched a fight from 6 years ago. It's like, oh, you don't know shit. God damn it. But I mean, that's where we're at. Again, this could very well pull off the headliner because, I mean, let's say Jandiroba is actually legit and Lemos just paid her dues. But like the rest of it it's a Bellator card. Let's take off that headliner. If you tuned into a Bellator and it was Brad Tavares versus Jeong Park, that would be like, oh, Bellator let their product go. What's the co-main event? Steve Garcia versus Seung Choi. You wouldn't watch that crap. This is a PFL. Yeah, it would actually look pretty good by PFL standards, truth be told. But it's the UFC. It's supposed to be the creme de la creme, and it's just not. So I'm not going to lie to you and say I love some of these 50-50 fights from guys that could be no longer employed with the promotion come a month from now. It's hard to get that read, but you do the tape research, you make the picks, and I still do want to watch wins. I still want to check out. That's it, dude. It's gambling, right? It's gambling. You can either go to the lottery and pick a bunch of random ass numbers and it's out of your hand, or you can put your big boy pants off, watch some fights, get a good read on it, take a shot, and at least know you pick the number, hope it comes through. So that's what we're doing here. Hopefully we hit the big one. If not, hopefully we just hit a couple of these props and come out of it as a break even or profitable. But to stay optimistic, screw break even, screw profitable, hit a PRP. That's what we always aim for. But again, you got to sometimes level off your expectations and just winning in general on this card would be a bonus.
100%. Yeah. That's kind of like going into this card. I'm kind of looking at it that way. It's like, but sometimes I'm wrong on that. It's just like, yeah, I look at this card and I'm like, this doesn't look like, there's not too many spots that I'm like, oh, that's 100% like an absolute banger kind of play this week. They're not giving money away. And yeah, there's arguments against literally everybody across the card. It's a very very closely contested fight. No result on this entire card is going to surprise me in any way, shape, or form.
Who do you think the
But
best fighter on this card-
sometimes that's the best. Those are the best situations to go out there and make some money because we're not dealing with minus 700, minus 800 favorites here. Like,
true.
the wins will add up and they'll add up super quick. Anyway, that's it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed this show. For Newfie Jared and Cody Saftik, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.